Hi folks! In this video I'm going to show you how I assemble these double pocket zipper pouches that I cut with my Cricut maker. Keep watching! So I thought before we get started I'd show you a close-up look at this double zipper bag. You have a pocket in the front that's fully lined, zipper close, and then you have a pocket on top that's the full length of the pouch and fully lined also. So this is what we're going to make. Yesterday when I made this, I sewed my lining and my outside pieces separately, and I found that it makes for a very bulky seam when you put all the layers together, because you are going to end up with 3 layers, and I found it makes for a very bulky seam. So I thought today I would try something different, and I used heat and bond to attach my lining to my outside pieces. It means that I'm going to have to do a zigzag stitch along my seam allowance before I turn the bag inside out, but I thought it would be fun, so I'm going to give it a try that way to see if it's less bulky. So when you cut on your maker, you're going to have top and inside 10 by 20 and top and inside 11 by 10 or 10 by 11. So you're going to have those 4 pieces. You can choose to sew them all in separately, of course, if that's how you'd like to do it. I ran out to get some zippers, and unfortunately all that my local store had was 16-inch. So I took those because I prefer to work with a long zipper anyway. Your pull doesn't get in the way, and the wire and the metal tab at the end doesn't get in the way. You can just sew across a few times to close the zipper and cut off the excess, and that works really well actually. So the first thing we're going to do is take our long piece, 20 inches, put it good side up, put our zipper good side down, and we're going to clip it or pin it. I like to use these Wonder Clips. I'm sure you've seen me use them in other videos. So we're just going to clip that right along the edge to keep it in place. There we go. I'm using a lot of clips, aren't I? And we're just going to sew one seam straight down the zipper from end to end, back stitching at the ends to make sure it doesn't come loose. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll show you what I've done. Okay, so I've done the first seam from my zipper. I'm going to just trim off any excess threads because we don't want to get them tangled into anything. There we go. So the next step that we're going to do is turn the zipper under so that we have the pull side, the pull facing up on the good side. I'm going to do a quick press to make this nice and flat, and then we're going to top stitch. There we go. I've pressed this down flat, and now I'm just going to run right along here with the top stitch to make it look more finished. So there we go. Our top stitch is done. And the first part of the zipper is done. We'll trim off the excess thread, always keeping it nice and neat so we don't have any boo-boos with thread getting caught in our sewing project. That's fine. And we'll get this one. There we go. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do make sure everything is lined up really nice and straight. So you're folding the good side to the inside and bringing your zipper up to the top. Your pull is facing down. And make sure everything lines up nice and neat, which is easy to do when you've cut on the maker because it cuts so accurately, so straight. I love it. I'll just add some more clips. Or pins if you're using pins. There we go. And we're going to do the same thing we did on this side. So straight across the zipper and back stitching at the ends to make sure your zipper is nicely installed. So I'll go ahead and do that and come back and show you what I've done. There we go. We cut off our excess thread. I love my thread catcher. Isn't it great? Shannon Allen made it for me. It says, "May your bobbin always be filled," and it has a pin cushion, and it hangs on the side of my desk, of my table. I love it. I'm crazy about it. So, there we have our zipper installed like a loop. So I'm going to open the zipper and turn this right side out. And now I'm going to go quickly press the second side of the zipper, nice and flat, and top stitch again. So I'll just be a second to show you what I'm doing. So there we go, I've pressed this flat. I'm going to open my zipper and I'm going to top stitch this side exactly how I did on the first side. Okay, I'm going to trim away this excess thread. And pull my zipper closed and show you this is actually how we get the little pocket on the front of the bag. So we are going to measure, let's say, 2 inches down About that. That looks like a nice size. So maybe 2.5 down. About 2.5 down is where our zipper will land. So when we sew this all together, we'll make sure that our zipper is open. We'll double stitch across several times to make sure that we don't lose our zipper when we cut it. So for the moment, we're going to put this on the side. That's all we need to do at the moment. So now we're going to take our 11 by 10 piece. Okay, so you're going to install your zipper on your 10-inch side. Once again, good side facing up, your pull facing down. I forgot to take the tag off of that. With your pull facing down, you're going to do the same installation that you did on the other bag. You're just going to clip or pin along. And we're going to sew the zipper in, fold it over, press it, top stitch, and move on to the next step. So let's get going. Okay, I'm going to press and top stitch this, and I'll be back to show you how we attach it. At the same time, I'm going to press this with the zipper at about 2.5 inches, so you still have a nice usable pocket, and this will become the top of your bag. So I'm going to get these all pressed, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've pressed this very flat. And I've pressed here where I'm going to top stitch, and I'm going to do that right away so we can continue. Get that done. So this is top stitch. We'll get the thread out of the way. I repeat that often, don't I? Because in the beginning, when I was first starting to make projects, I'd rush ahead to the next step and not trim my excess thread, and I often ran into boo-boos because I sewed my thread into my zipper or something like that and wasn't able to use the zipper, and it was a big nuisance. So now what we're going to do is put our zippers facing the same direction, pulls in the same direction facing up. We're going to line this up, your first piece up on top of the zipper. Make it nice and straight. And we're going to top stitch right along here to join them together. You don't have to do any other sewing. Because we did it in a loop, you don't have a raw edge at the end. So that was the reason for doing that. So we're just going to top stitch it right on. Make it nice and straight. And I'm going to use pins for this to hold them in place. It's a little tough to pin because I'm going through a few layers now. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to pin all the way along. Start with pins at both ends. Maybe I'll turn it around this way, it'll be easier to manage. Okay, so I've pinned that on. I'm just going to top stitch right along and I'll be back to show you the next step. Okay, so now you have your zipper installed for your small pocket. Your small pocket is actually finished. Once you sew up the sides, you have your lining all installed. Perfect. And your top zipper is installed. So now what you're going to do is take this zipper and pull it open. Pull both your zippers open. You don't want to make that boo-boo. We're going to clip this down. Keep it in place. Get rid of any threads you might see hanging around. I'm going to use lots of clips because I want it to be nice and straight. Okay, so now what you're going to do is sew the three sides, the two sides and the bottom. You're going to sew all the way around. You can choose to use the marks that I drew with my maker, or you can choose to make a smaller seam allowance so that you don't have a whole bunch of trimming to do afterwards. You just want to make sure that when you sew over your zipper tabs, your zippers are open, and you want to go several times, 2-3 times over your zipper to make sure that you've got a good closure on it and you won't end up losing your pull by pulling it right across where it's not attached. So I'm going to go ahead and sew that, and I'll be back to show you how it looks. Okay. So I've sewn around all three sides. I've made sure that my zippers are open so that I can turn my bag inside out. I'm going to trim off the excess zipper. And I've done small seams all the way around so that now I'm going to go around with my zigzag stitch and finish the edges so that when you do look inside the bag, it looks a much nicer finish. I think I like doing it this way instead of doing this particular bag in separate pieces. I think I like doing it this way. It's cute. So I'm going to go around with my zigzag stitch. There we go, there's one side done. It's a much nicer finished. And I'll just continue for the, there we go. So we're done. This bag is finished, this pouch bag, whatever you like to call it. We'll just clean it all up and make sure we don't have any excess thread hanging around so it looks nice and neat. Open the zipper the rest of the way. And it's the first time I do it by using heat and bond to attach the back to the inside to the outside. So far I liked working with it. It was fun to do it this way. So let's see how it turns out. Makes the fabric a bit stiff, but that's fun. I like that. To push our corners out. Turn our top out. Close that up. Okay. Finish pushing the corners out. And what can I use? Here's a brush. The seams are definitely less bulky than when you layer all your fabric sewn together. Definitely makes for a less bulky seam around the edge. So there we go. I'm going to press it all nice and flat. You have a smaller pocket in the front, fully lined. And then you have a top pocket that's all lined. The lining on the top is partial lining and partial your good outside fabric, which is kind of cute. Press it all nice and flat when you're done. I'm going to hang some jewelry on it, maybe a little brass tag and a tassel or something I find in my goodies, and I'll give it as a gift. I think I'll make a coordinating bag to go with it. It'll be cute. So I hope you enjoyed watching this. I hope you'll make some bags. I'm going to share the file along with the video so you can give it a try. Please post pictures if you do. I'd love to see them. Thank you for watching.